Well, hello there. Welcome back to another episode of the Fit Female Society podcast. I'm your host, Valerie Rose, and today's episode is going to be about youth mental health. And we're going to discuss the challenges, bring awareness, and guiding the next generation. And I'm going to be doing so with an amazing, beautiful guest who is a fellow Chingona Community member. She is a coach in the realms of teen mindset and leadership, personal development, and business leadership mastery. So, with that being said, help me welcome the beautiful and lovely Coach Elizabet. Drop the H, okay?
Hey.
Yes, welcome,
Hola,
beautiful.
hola.
How are you feeling to be here today?
Amazing. Thank you. First, I want to say thank you for having me here. I want to shine light on what you do
Thank
to the
you.
community, for everyone, the youth, the women, las mujeres
Yes.
chingonas.
Yep. Latinas chingonas
So thank you
always. Yep.
for having me here, and I'm really excited to have conversation about our kiddos.
Yes, absolutely. So, Coach Elizabet, coming from your background of focusing on the teens and personal development, how would you define mental health? What is mental health to you?
I'm gonna kind of go back a little
Go
bit.
ahead.
As Latinas, right?
Yeah.
When we grew up, I grew up in LA.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't have those positive role models. It was more the gangs, the drugs, the partying, all that stuff, right? So I never had that in my life.
Yeah.
Um, and now with like social media, the bullying has gone to an extreme.
Yeah.
Back in our time in Los Angeles, for me, you had, we'll call it beef. You had beef with somebody.
Yeah.
They went up to you. Hey, let's handle this in the back of the bleachers. I'll see
Yep.
you after school.
On the
On
spotlight.
the spotlight, right?
Mhm.
We didn't talk about no mental health. We didn't talk about how scared we were. We didn't talk about any of that type of stuff. Once, our parents didn't know any better.
Right.
So we knew what we knew.
Mm-hmm.
So now, in this day and age, everything is coming up.
Yeah.
You talk about that even more so after COVID. I think there was like a high spike on, anxiety, depression, all kinds of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So for me to be able to come now and say, hey, I didn't grow up like that.
Yep.
I didn't have that. Now, how can I bring those tools to our kids and like even us? We're still learning.
Yeah, I agree.
We learn every single day. So I think it's uber important for us to be able to have those conversations and have that space where our youth, the teens, and the parents know, like, hey, we need to talk about it.
Right.
How can we help our kids, and how can we help the parents become aware of everything that's going on right now? It's
Right.
all mindset. Seriously, it's all the mindset, and becoming aware of the things and issues and challenges that they're going through,
Right.
because that battle in our mind, especially as a youth, we don't talk about it.
Yep.
We're so quiet, so I want to be able to bring that up and have a discussion, because it's okay.
Yep, I agree. It is so
It's
okay.
okay.
And thank you for sharing that. Everything you said is on point. And like you said, mental health is all a mindset because the way your mental health is, whether it's good, whether it's bad, it's going to affect your way of thinking, your way of acting, the choices, and overall how your life turns out. So if we do practice those good mental health habits, then we'll ultimately live like a better, healthier, and happier life. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, absolutely. We didn't have those tools.
Yeah.
So now we get to show the students that we're like that map. We're bridging that gap,
Yeah.
right? We're shortening the gap for the students so that they know life's going to come at you.
Yep.
Life's going to come at you either at work, with relationships, and how are you going to handle it?
Yep.
You're not just going to sweep it under the rug, right?
Mhm.
There's different tools and different tactics and strategies that we can show them so that they can use later on in life, so that they can be successful at living life, not just business and being
Yeah.
successful there. That, things are going to come up, either rejection in relationships, rejection, or getting a no at some sort of a position at work. And we have to kind of step back and just see different perspectives in life,
Yep.
so that you can react differently.
Right.
instead of being so abrupt or being upset and being angry. Like, okay, let's shift it.
Yep.
Right? It's that
Mhm.
mindset of it's not happening, to me, it's happening for me.
Right.
So shifting that, I think a lot of, especially the youth, doing it now can
Mhm.
help them in the future.
I
I
agree.
mhm,
I agree 100% because as you mentioned, if we had those tools earlier, I feel like we're very empowered women and we do practice our personal development a lot within ourselves and the people around us with our clients as coaches. But if we had those tools back in the day, I'm sure we'd be operating at a much higher level
oh
with
yeah.
personal development, even like having earlier success in life type of thing. And when you say success, I love how you mention that it's not about business. Success
Mhm,
to every single person is going to look differently, whether it's achieving goals with school, whether it's finances, whether it's family, friends, traveling, and even the most simple things in life make people happy and successful. So I'm glad that you shed light on that. And most importantly, showing the importance and highlighting that mental health habits and personal development doesn't start in adulthood. It's never late to start, but it's best when you start those practices as a youth because then ultimately it helps them. And I think the youth struggle more than adults at time because sometimes they
mhm,
feel helpless. They don't have the money to get themselves out of certain situations. Sometimes they deal with those generational curses and trauma that even their own family members don't know how to help them and guide them
mhm,
to have a better mental health state. And as you mentioned too, since we didn't have those tools back in the day, I feel like now we do have them, as you mentioned, social media and stuff. And there's more of an awareness now of how to help one's mental health status, but there's also a higher rate of um, bad mental health,
oh,
right? Wouldn't you say like now, back in the day, like you said, you'll just be quiet about it. Nobody would know. And in the Latino community, they're like mental health, like no digas esas cosas. Like
mhm.
don't focus on your emotions so much. Like be strong, push through, and all of that stuff.
You know what? It's yes. I just had a conversation with my dad a few weeks ago regarding that. That we grew up just doing things.
Yeah.
Like you don't talk about how you feel. If something's going on in the family, you're hush hush. You get up and you just go.
Right.
Right. So you live like that for years and years and holding everything in.
Hmm.
And it's not okay to hold anything. And you have to talk. You have to bring it into fruition. You have to
Yep.
write it down. Right.
Hmm.
And now with the students, that's something that I coach
Yep.
and I teach. Like the more you think about certain things in certain situations,
Right.
the same thoughts you had yesterday are the same thoughts you had the day before, and the day before, and the day before. Same
Hmm.
thoughts,
Yeah.
right? And they're going to consume you all the time. But if you actually write them down, they no longer hold power, and you know that you're going to have to take action on what's real there. So a lot of the students, I know for sure, for me, I didn't start my quest, my journey until later,
Hmm.
maybe like 30 plus on writing things down or going into different masterminds to be able to help
Right.
with the self development, the
Hmm.
emotional awareness
Right.
now. And I think it's so important that the youth become aware. One of
Right.
the biggest things that I always teach the kids, youth awareness, awareness. If you leave today,
Yeah.
I want you to be aware of your surroundings, aware of your thoughts,
Yep.
aware of your emotions, aware of your triggers, because when you're aware, you can win.
Yes, I love that you mentioned the triggers too, because that's a part of working on yourself, knowing like this stuff bothers me or I have these traumas, this might trigger me. So, what am I going to do about it?
Mhm.
And then the holding back the emotions. What does that lead up to that you've seen in the youth that they don't want to communicate, confide in someone, do those activities of personal development and journaling or just writing stuff down? What are the negative effects that you've seen because of emotional buildup and lack of letting it out?
So, the what comes up
Yeah.
when the students or the kids hold everything in is anger,
Yep.
is anxiety,
Yep.
it's all kinds of those emotions that you're suppressing,
Depression as well.
all of that.
Yep.
And I really do think that when you put pen to paper and you put down what are those thoughts that you have in your mind, you become aware of it. That's why I always say, honestly, I sound like a broken record when I say awareness, awareness, awareness is key.
Yep.
because when you write things down and you see it and you visually write it down,
Mhm.
it's not going to hold power in your brain.
Yep.
It's there. And you're like, okay, I have to take action. I keep thinking of this. Now, what do I have to do?
Yep.
I have two daughters. I have a 16-year-old and I have a 12-year-old. So during COVID time, that was tough. That was really tough because they didn't want to talk.
Mhm.
They didn't want to share how they were feeling and their emotions and everything that was going on. I call it head trash in your mind.
Ooh, I like that.
Constantly, that constant head trash or that inner annoying roommate that we have,
Mhm.
that's constantly there in our brain. It's us telling you you're not good enough. You're never going to succeed.
Yeah.
All that head trash is always constantly there.
I love those terms. Thanks for sharing that because the one that I know of, it's a little vulgar. It's like I read a book. It's called "The Bitch in Your Head."
It is.
Yeah, but so the way you said, I'm like, oh, that sounds. I'm like, I remember that from a book, but the way you put it, it's just beautifully.
It is. She's constantly there, or even for the gentleman, like he's constantly there.
Yeah.
So how do you acknowledge it and listen to that inner annoying roommate that's constantly living there
Right.
rent free?
Mhm.
And you acknowledge it, and I always say you fact check stuff.
Yep.
When you see or you feel like I'm not smart enough, okay, wait. Yeah, you are. Tell me all the things that you have done and you
Right.
have accomplished. Next, right?
Mhm.
So for going back to my daughters during the COVID time, that's how I started with the teen mindset
Yep.
and mental health for the teens because they weren't talking to me.
And you experienced that firsthand with
Uh,
your youth. So you're like, if these girls are going through it, imagine all the other youth that are going through it, different ages. It can start as early as when they start school, kindergarten, transitional kindergarten.
100%.
Yeah.
So for me, noticing that, and that's why I think that parents, it's so important. I love working with parents so that they also become aware of it,
Yeah.
so that they know what they can do. There's always a way. It's never ever too late. So when I saw those transitionings and I was becoming aware of the things that I was noticing my daughters do,
Right.
I'm like, something has to change.
Yeah.
I need to do different things. What can I do to help them? And the easiest way at first was journaling, writing. Because as a parent, they didn't want to come and talk to me.
Mhm.
Even as a life coach. No, you're a life
Yeah,
coach.
you'd
No, mom.
expect them to, and that's what I tell my daughter too.
No.
We just we went to the hair salon yesterday, and she was telling the hairstylist, "Yeah, my mom keeps teaching me about personal development," and I'm like, "But it's a good thing." So even hearing her say that, I'm like, even though we think those things don't stick to them, I feel like they do have an advantage because not every child is working on their personal development.
No. So I think the writing is
Mhm.
huge. And one of the other things I did do was I wasn't so overbearing. I remember
Okay.
with my parents growing up, it was just like, right, suffocating. So I because I've done the quest for personal development on myself, right?
Right.
So I knew like I need to give them their own space. Their love languages are completely different than
Yes,
mine.
which I learned from you at that event,
Yeah.
and I was like, "Oh my goodness, I knew of them, but I've never practiced them, like, even with my clients." It's more
Mhm.
since it's just more focusing on themselves, it hasn't really been, like, relationships, but then learning my daughter's love language, which is gifts, and I'm like
Mhm.
at first I was like, "Okay," it seemed like a bad love language to have because then it seems like all about materialistic, but I was like, "No, look at it in a positive way." So even your coaching event taught me, like, it doesn't have to be a negative thing, it's just the way this person feels extra loved and appreciated.
It's a thought that counts.
Exactly.
It's a
Yep.
thought. The little rock that you saw and you put it together and you make
Mhm.
it pretty. Like, I thought of you. Oh my God. You
Yeah.
love me.
Mhm. Yep.
So those are the little things. So for them, I learned to kind of give them the space
Okay.
and be able to share without judgment and
Right.
without me wanting to solve their problems.
Yeah.
One of the things I know that with my kids, and I tell them all the time, like, I'm not always going to be here.
Mhm. That's true.
So I want to help you and teach you and guide you so that you can think critically
Right.
when there's situations like COVID just happened.
Mhm.
Like things like that, or rejection happens, or
Right.
you break up
Failure
with
even.
failure,
Yep.
you break up with your boyfriend, a
Mhm.
college doesn't accept you. How are you going to handle that?
Right.
There's always a reason behind it. Maybe that wasn't supposed to be your route.
And
So I
that's why that happened.
and you change that perspective in the way that you think.
Yep.
They listen. What you're doing now
Mhm.
and your daughter's watching it, that's a
Mhm.
beautiful thing because you're that role model.
Yeah.
She's going to always remember, like, my mom is
Mhm.
a badass. Like, she teaches this and it's always
Yeah.
going to be in the back of their mind. So that's a beautiful thing that you're doing this for her
Right.
and her friends and everybody
Yep.
else watching.
Mhm.
So
Exactly, and same to you because 'cause we're both in that same realm, and I was, like, extra excited to have you here because all the other women I've had on here, they're amazing in their own way. Some of them are involved in business, some are not, but they have their own way of empowering, but having you come on and being another life coach, I was like, "That's super exciting," because we're, like, right there all about that personal development and women empowerment, but you take it a step further too, actually, by focusing on the teens and the youth and business as well.
yeah, you know what?
Very
For
impactful.
thank you
Mhm.
for that, and I appreciate that, and I'm really happy to be here with you and like-minded
Yes,
women,
for sure.
right? And I started this with the youth because I saw that there was a challenge
Yeah.
and I wanted to solve it.
Mhm.
And I know that there's so many different women programs and mentorships that they do,
Right.
and I haven't seen anything
Mm.
with the youth.
Mhm.
And I'm like, our youth is the one that are going to be the doctors, are going to be the entrepreneurs, are going to
Right.
be, leaders, they're going to be mothers, daughter, all this, right?
Yep.
And I knew that it had to change. It had to start with them.
Right.
And although they're so young,
Mhm.
that's when we need to guide them and teach them.
Yep. Even though they don't like it sometimes, but ultimately it'll be for a better them, a better world,
Hmm.
better family, better friends.
Yeah. So yeah, pretty much that's what we're doing, and the fact that we get to be here and
Yeah.
talk about it is huge.
Right. And then you get to share this with them and spread the word even more. Something that really stood out to me is when you said that you felt like your parents were suffocating you. So, how did that look like for you? Because I'm sure a lot of other teens feel that too. I didn't really get that much growing up. I felt like they let me do whatever, which has its pros and its cons.
Hmm.
But I think what you said, I'd love for you to shed some more light on that. Like, what did that look like for you? What did you feel? And how did you end up dealing with it?
The Latina community, right?
Yeah.
Culture. I have 5 sisters, 3 brothers.
Oh,
So I'm the
wow.
ninth one. I'm the youngest.
Mm-hmm.
So people would think, "Oh, you're the youngest," so they actually kind of let you do whatever you wanted.
Yeah. And they baby
The
you.
baby,
Hmm.
no, that was completely opposite. Um, I think to answer your question as suffocating, there was always a no, 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 no. Wanted to go out with my friends, no, 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 no. I want to do
Okay.
this, no, 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 no. I'll drive you, I'll take you. It was just
Mhm.
so when I left to college, I was like, I am free,
Yeah.
right? Instead of having a real relationship and conversations
Yeah.
with my parents. I was closer to my mom because I was the
Okay.
last one, but
Mhm.
with my dad, I never really had a relationship with him until trying to now.
Yeah.
He's 83 years old, and here I am, 40, 41. 41
Yeah,
years
you
old.
still look good for 41. You still look amazing.
Level 41. It's okay. I love it. Love
Oh,
it.
yeah,
Thank you.
your birthday just passed too. Happy belated
Leos.
birthday.
Gracias, gracias.
Mhm.
So I didn't have one. I didn't have a relationship with my pops, right?
Right.
And now I get to have some sort of a relationship. Not that he's 83 years old, but and that's one of the things that I did talk to him.
Right.
We didn't have conversations. We
Mhm.
didn't talk. It was always a no, 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 no. And it's how'd you do at school? Okay. When I wasn't doing so great at school,
And
right?
just kind of leaving it at that
Yeah.
instead of giving you like, "No, you can't go out with your friends because of X, Y, and Z."
Or talking or getting
Mhm.
to know me or getting to know my friends. There was never anything there. There was always a block.
Mhm.
So for me, having children, I knew it was going to be different. I knew that I was going to break that link,
Yeah.
right? With so many resources now and
Right.
learning and being involved in a lot of things, I knew like I get to change that. Just because, and this is what we teach with the youth too, just because I grew up in this environment
Right.
it doesn't mean that I have to follow suit.
Right.
I have the power to change and shift it.
Right.
If I want my world different, I have to do it. We
Right.
can't point the finger because when you point one, there's 3 and maybe the thumb trying to point back at you, right?
Mhm. It all ends up going, like, back to you ultimately.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. So, you get to change and shift that in your life if you want it. And if
Right.
you don't, you can't be mad at it.
Mhm. I agree. You have to want the change and
Yeah.
put in the work, and I think that's why sometimes it's hard for people to get to a level of personal development where they truly have, like, that peace and happiness inside because it requires work. It's
Mhm.
freaking hard. It requires, like, daily, hourly choices where you're transitioning and fixing your mindset from your old ways of thinking.
Mhm.
And it's much easier to target the youth in a positive way with their mental health because they're still at that level where they're trying to figure out life. They're trying to figure out their habits, behaviors, what they want to end up doing. So I love everything that
Mhm.
you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you. That just brought into something. One of the other things that I was talking to a student and I
Yeah.
was listening to another podcast, and the therapist was talking about the social anxiety.
That was going to be my next point, like social media playing a role and
Oh
even
my God.
its
Yeah.
pros and cons where it keeps the kids connected, but it also has its positive stuff and its negative, and we don't know what the children are consuming at times, which even social media itself leads to a lot of youth committing suicide or
Mhm.
having like that deep anxiety and depression. So, what do you think about all of that?
So I think social media can be used as a really good platform,
Right, for
just
sure.
like what you're doing,
Yeah, well,
right?
both of us do. Mhm.
It's a beautiful thing,
Yeah.
but it can also be a really horrible thing.
Yeah.
Growing up, fist fighting, let's
Mhm.
go. You're good. I'm good. We
That's it.
hashed it out. We're
Mhm.
cool. All right, next.
Right.
Social media, we have our phones, and the bullying is, what's it, cyberbullying?
Yeah, exactly.
Constant. You don't even know who you're talking to. Sometimes a person doesn't even know you, or you don't even follow them, or vice versa. And they're just negative, negative, negative.
Yeah.
Right. So, how do we shift that? And when a student, one of
Mhm.
our kids, gets notifications and it's negative bashing, for me teaching the students, it's hey, you don't know what they're going through.
Right.
They're sitting there writing a nasty, bad thing about you, and they don't even know you.
Mhm. So for them to even take the time out
How
of their day to do that.
how can it affect you?
Right.
They don't know you. So for us, we have to teach and show our students and our kids that they
Mhm.
are so worthy and so amazing,
Yeah.
so that when that does happen, because it's going to happen, it's
Right.
inevitable, we cannot make it not happen, right?
Right.
How can we prepare them mentally and emotionally, physically and spiritually to be able to handle it? Be like, oh, this person, I feel so bad for them. Like,
Mhm.
feel horrible that they're writing this. They don't know me.
Right.
Next,
Mhm.
right? The social anxiety. When COVID hit, everyone was home for about a year, 2 years plus, and so many other people didn't want to leave their homes,
Right.
right? So we need connection. In order for us to feel whole and fulfilled, we need human connections, conversations,
Mhm.
touching, all that.
All the love
All the
languages you mentioned.
love languages,
Mhm.
all that, right?
Right.
So here you put the kids, the youth, the teens at home, not being able to leave anywhere.
Right.
Connections, starting classes all through Zoom classes.
Yeah.
They're not going to feel comfortable when they're going to be in a setting of
Mhm.
individuals. I saw that with my girls.
Right. Especially when they went back to school.
Oh
Mhm.
my goodness. I would have those conversations with them. My daughters were like, I don't want to talk to anybody. There's too many people.
Mhm.
Whoa, what do you mean there's too many people? I don't know how to handle it. What am I going to say? What are they going to think of me?
Mm.
So the social anxiety, they start thinking about it's about what are people going to think of me?
Yeah.
Are they going to like me? Are they going to love me? What am I going to say? Even if what I'm having a conversation is it going to be important to them?
Right.
So what they want to do is retrieve. And I'm not
Mhm.
going to go to that family function, or I'm
Right.
not going to go to this, gathering at school.
Right.
It became such a huge issue and a challenge. And it was so sad, which is why we started creating those mentorship programs at school
Yeah.
to have those connections, to have conversations so that they know that our kids know that they're not alone.
Right.
They're all going through the same thing
Mhm.
and they need to talk about it. And it's okay.
Yep.
Even us as adults. I
Mhm.
mean, I'll tell you this, when I go to big social gatherings that I don't know people there, girl, talk about social anxiety. I can be an introvert and an extrovert.
I
Oh,
wouldn't even be able to tell. I wouldn't even
yes.
be able to tell. You sound like you
Yes.
play it off so well.
I kid you not. Sometimes I think they're okay, Lord, I'm gonna go in there.
Yep.
What am I gonna say? But wait, I don't have these certifications. I don't do this. I don't do that. All that head trash starts
Yep.
coming into your brain, and then I have to stop.
Right. That awareness where you're like, okay, I'm aware this is happening. So now I got to choose to let it like fester me, or what am I going to do differently to get the head trash out? Mhm.
Exactly. Exactly. Even as adults, we still have those challenges and we're still working through it.
That's true.
So, I think the social anxiety doesn't stop.
It's just
it's
something you
just
just got to keep working on, right?
it's just the tools. What do you do?
Right.
And if you show up as who you are and being lovely and amazing individual
Mhm.
as you are,
Authentically you.
authentically you,
Mhm.
and when you meet people, you generally just want to be like, "What's your story?
Yeah.
Where do you live?
Mhm.
Tell me about you." Really?
Right.
Oh my god. So it takes away the feeling of, "Oh my god, what am I going to say? Oh my god, you just listen."
Yep.
And it takes it away from, the feeling anxious
Right.
about new people that you're meeting in an environment, right?
Yeah.
So which is what we're teaching the teens to be able to do. It's uncomfortable for them because they don't want to talk.
Yeah, I'm sure you're really pushing them out of their comfort zone, which I'm sure they're going to remember you and all the practices that you teach them because they really do need it. So you're setting them up for success. How challenging would you say it is to push the youth that you work with like out of their comfort zone and breaking those habits that they have of like not wanting to talk or not wanting to share?
I was that kid, and I think sometimes I still am. So if I'm pushing them to get to a certain level, I have to make sure even as an adult that I'm doing the same thing.
Yep.
If anyone hasn't worked with any teens yet, oh my god, I think it's the most rewarding thing you can ever
Yeah.
do in life because yes, I'm coaching them and I'm teaching them different things and they're
Right.
getting out of their comfort zone, but they're teaching me so much more.
Yeah.
They are extremely smart. Smart, loving, giving, caring. And when you're there and you're coaching them through the mentorship programs, you see them walk in very closed.
Mhm. They're like, "What am I gonna get myself into?"
That's the best part, that I get to see them as they're entering and how they're kind of sheltered and closed in. And
Mhm.
as they progress through the mentorship program, it just opens up
Yep.
and they share more.
Mhm.
Maybe it's just a little bit, but it's a little bit further than where they were.
Right.
And
Progress, that's what matters. Progress
progress
over
is
perfection.
progress over perfection. So I think that's huge for me. Um, yeah, just them sharing. And I tell them, hey, what I tell the kids, look, what I'm teaching you right now and I'm coaching you on,
Yeah.
I'm not telling you just to do it
Mhm.
because I want you to do it. It's setting you up for the future. It's going to help you in relationships.
Yep.
It's going to help you when you're at work. It's
Mhm.
going to help you with your parents. It's
Yep.
going to help you with your friends and siblings and all things. This is why
Mhm.
we're doing what we're doing now.
Right.
It has nothing to do with academics.
Mhm.
It's about life skills.
Yep.
So when I teach them and I go that route and change the perspective, because as parents, right? Haz esto, do
Mhm.
this. ¿Por qué? Because I'm telling you to.
Yeah.
And then here comes a coach telling you, okay, we're going to do this. And they're like, oh, hell, you're just like my parent.
It's like that trigger, like, "You're triggering me because my parents do that
Yeah.
type of thing."
Yeah.
Mhm. So then they feel like, "Oh, shoot, here I go
Yeah.
again at
I don't want to
home,
do it.
at
Uh huh.
school."
Or
Mhm.
the teachers. No,
Yep.
no, no, no. Okay, let's change it.
Right.
We're doing this because it's going to teach you this or this.
Yep. And that's that communication instead of saying, "You're gonna do this just because I'm telling you because I'm badass, Coach Elizabeth."
Yeah, yeah, that too. Just
You're
kidding.
letting them, you're like, "Yeah, that too," but you give them
Yeah.
the why and the purpose overall. So then they're like, "Uh-huh, like, okay, I'm not doing it just to doing it. I'm doing this because of a purpose because Coach Elizabeth is a badass and she knows what she's doing."
Yeah, it's an end result.
Yeah,
It's an end result. And I hope that at least they take one thing
for
out of
sure.
whatever it is that we're doing, what particular mentorship programs or summits, and they
Right.
take one thing. And if they take one thing and they make a change, you're good. Because then they'll be
Mhm.
able to help other people
Right.
as well.
And pass on that knowledge as well.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing. You brought up academics. How challenging And how's the pressure to
Mhm.
a youth's mental health because of academics, because of teachers, assignments, trying to get the best grades, trying to do the sports, trying to get into the best colleges? What's your take on that?
So one of the things that the students will tell me is the pressure
Mhm.
of the classes, pressure of choosing a major at 18 years old, 17 years old,
Yeah.
choosing a particular career that they're going to do for the rest of their lives.
Mhm.
That's actually one of the major things that they tell me. Coach, I'm stressed
Mhm.
that I have to choose right now what I need to do for the rest of my life. And then the grades. So I tell them, do you have control over your grades? Well, do you have control over your grades?
You're like, "Well,
Well,
yes."
yeah, you do.
Right.
Okay. So if you have a class and you have to study for it, if you don't study, are you going to be mad that you got to do, you got to fail? Well, no, you can't be mad.
Right.
So if you want different results, and you're going to be stressing, so you know you're going to have to your time. I call it self management instead of time management.
Mhm.
Self management on what you're going to do and how you're going to study.
Right.
Because if you study enough, you're going to do well. So then that's going to take away your stress.
Mhm.
Hmm. Well, that's funny,
Yeah, they're
right?
like, "Well, that makes sense."
That made sense,
Right.
right?
Mhm.
Okay. Now, a school, a college that you're going to be applying for. You know the requirements.
Mhm.
Some schools are going to say yes, some schools are going to say no, but
Right.
perhaps that's probably not the school that you need to go to. That is literally out of your control. Three, the average individual that goes to college will change their major 3 times. I did mine for four.
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
4 times. They're like, what? 4 times. It is so much pressure for a young teen who's still trying to get to know who they are,
Right.
their wants, their needs, uh, what they're passionate about, their
Mhm.
purpose, to pick a major at 16, 17, 18 years old.
Right? Because 'Cause they're not still even out in the real world yet. They're getting, like, the taste of it through, like, schools, social interaction activities, and even volunteering and stuff like that, but they don't get the full feel of life until they're out of high school and going into college, going into the workforce.
Exactly. My
Mhm.
daughter, who's 16 years old,
Mhm.
she just started her junior year and she's, Mom, I'm so stressed. What do you mean you're so stressed?
She's in that phase that you're talking about
I'm
right
like,
now.
man, I want to go back to like being your age and
Yeah.
all that.
You remember when we were younger and we'd be like, "Oh, I can't wait to be an adult," and I'm like, "Well, I wish I would've
Yeah.
enjoyed the moment because it's so much different."
Yeah. Luckily I got my ish together
Mhm.
because my GPA
You're like,
wasn't
"Ay, no, porque
girl.
quién sabe dónde estaría hoy yo."
I'm so serious. But she was telling me I'm so stressed out. I don't know what I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
It's okay. I
Mhm.
say, it's okay. Let's talk about it. What fulfills your heart? What makes you happy? What makes you full? What makes you're gonna get up every single day going to a job? Are you happy?
Mhm.
What are you gonna like? Well, I don't know. Okay, let's write things down.
Right.
And I had to tell her, and all the parents listening out there, it's a lot of pressure, right? It's okay. You might change your major. You might go in
Mhm.
and you're gonna take a couple of classes and
Yeah.
you'll be like, you know what? I thought I wanted to do this, but it's not. So I'm gonna change gears.
Mhm.
That's okay.
Yeah.
They just wanna hear that's okay.
Right, and they wanna know that you support them no matter what.
Yeah, you support them and they're gonna do at the end of the day, they're gonna do what they wanna do.
Yeah, that's true.
Mhm. So just be there, listen, guide them,
Mhm.
and when they're feeling pressure for school, they have control over what they study,
Right.
and if they don't do well, okay, let's look at what happened. What was the result of that? Did you put in the time and the effort? Oh,
Mhm.
no. Okay, so that's why you got that.
Right.
So know about what happened if you put the time and the effort. Different results.
Yeah.
Perfect. All
Mhm.
right, let's go that route. Right?
Yeah.
You kind of guide them a little bit more, shift things, their perspective on how what they're doing and thinking and being.
For sure. I
Hmm.
agree. Love it. Now, do you feel that their self-esteem ties into all of this? Like, they need to have a high self-esteem to be able to decide what it is that they wanna do despite mom and dad wanting them to do a certain minor or major, or just even in school overall, do you feel like a youth would perform at a higher level above average if they have that confidence in them by doing personal development activities?
100%. 100%. Um, the doubt and the fear plays in a lot.
Yep.
That will play into their confidence.
Mhm.
So I always tell the students when it comes to the confidence, think about having a bank,
Yep.
right? You put money in the bank. You work and you put money in the bank, right?
Mhm.
So what happens? It grows, 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 grows.
Right.
Okay. You have a confidence bank. Is the same thing. So how do you build your confidence?
Mhm.
Your confidence is built through doing hard things.
Yeah.
Your confidence is built through having the reputation. And if you say that you're going to do something, for example, you're going to go work out, right?
Right.
I'm going to go work out and I'm going to get up at 7 in the morning every single day and I'm going to hit the gym for at least 3 times a week.
Yep. Taking action.
And you take action and you
Mhm.
do it, that means you're actually doing what you said you're going to do. You're holding that reputation for yourself.
Mhm.
So you're adding that into your confidence bank.
Yeah.
I'm going to read a full book. You read the full book. Add. That means you're a person that actually takes the action and does what they said they're going to do.
Yeah.
That builds confidence. Confidence is not just achieving something as far as like a recognition
Right.
or some sort of a position. That
Mhm.
can be taken away from you.
Right.
It's the little things that really add value into building who you are,
Right.
your
Absolutely.
identity.
Mhm.
That's what that is. Um, so teaching the students that so they can really kind of step back,
Right.
right? Of
Mhm.
feeling wanted, needed, or wanting the accolades and stuff. That's not, those are all external stuff.
Mhm.
The external stuff is not adding the confidence. Yeah, it's cool right here and there.
And it's a temporary thing. Like, let's say they get
Totally.
a recognition, it's amazing. It's like they worked up to it, they got it, but now what?
It doesn't define
Just
you.
taking that action, like you said, keeping your word to yourself and doing things that are hard, stepping out of your comfort zone, and just really taking action and being better than the person that you were the day before.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah. All that will bring you to wanting to perform better,
Right?
to do better, to want to be that risk taker.
Mhm.
That's what's going to be the difference in achieving success at any level. That's what that is. Doing the little hard things when you don't want to. And you
Yeah.
put in and you I just think about that bank.
You're like, that's one thing to do.
It's one
Another
thing.
thing to do.
There you go. There you go. And it
And if
builds.
it's challenging for a youth to even take that baby step, because there's going to be other youth that are more confident than others, what are the resources that you'd recommend them to seek? Like, if they're scared to go to Coach Elizabeth or another adult in their life, where would you recommend them to take that first step to like find help with their self-esteem, confidence, and overall mental health if they're like in a bad place?
So I'm going to go back to writing.
Okay.
That's the number one. If they don't want to reach out to anyone,
Mm-hmm.
if they're not comfortable enough to talk to a person or a friend or a teacher or a parent,
Right.
the first thing I would have to say is write it down.
And when you say write it down, would you recommend like, okay, go on Google, kind of type in something that you feel and find a journal prompt through there and look to see what resonates with you, or more so like just get a piece of paper, pen, pencil, and just write down what's on your mind?
Grab a journal
Okay.
and just write. I'm going to give you two different tips. One, the journal.
Yeah.
Write, 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 write.
Mm-hmm.
And then number two, talking about fit female society.
Yeah.
Fit. When your body, when you move and
Mm-hmm.
you work out and you do something physically strong,
Right.
your mind, your brain, your body is going to release those endorphins, those feel good feelings.
Right.
You need to move. So when you're feeling stuck, when you're feeling emotionally drained, when you're
Right.
feeling like your brain is so cloudy,
Mm-hmm.
when you do something physically strong, you're going to notice that your mind, your brain, your whole being is going to change and shift.
Yeah.
So maybe going out and running,
Mm-hmm.
maybe going out and walking,
Right.
maybe hitting the gym, something, doing something physically strong. You have to, and I guarantee you that you're going to feel so much better. I know for me
Mm-hmm.
that if I'm not working out and I'm not doing certain things,
Yeah.
I'm like, what what are the things that I do that are making me feel good?
Mhm.
Duh, duh, duh. Oh, am I doing this one? No. Elizabeth, come on, let's go. So for them, students, two things. Even for us adults,
Right.
journal it. If you don't want to talk to anybody,
Yeah.
that's what I do with my daughter. If you don't want to
Mhm.
talk to nobody, especially through COVID.
Yeah.
And then two, go out and do something. Go to the park, go kick the ball, go basketball, do something, even if it's on your own for now.
Right.
That's going to make a huge, huge change. And then talk to somebody.
Once you
It,
feel like you're at that step and you're ready.
if they feel like what you were saying, what about
Mhm.
they don't want to talk to nobody? Like, what do
Mhm.
you do? What are the tactics? There's so many resources. But if they feel like they don't want to yet, those are two major things that I think that if you do that and you shift it,
Yeah.
can make a huge difference.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And with their peers now. So you've talked
Mm.
about like how family can support the youth, whether it's their own children or other youth around them, how they can support by just being open, understanding, conversations, journaling, writing, as well as coming from the perspective of a coach. How would you say, like, entre los amigos, cómo se pueden soportar? Like, how can they support one another if none of them like really want to go to someone, but if they know that there's a friend that's really struggling with their mental health, and maybe not all of them in the group are, but there's like a few of them, how would you recommend the youth to support their own friends that are maybe being those cyber bullies,
Mm.
that are having friends that are going through relationship drama or just overall life drama or having a lot of negativity, that they're not confident to make the moves themselves, but they're around other children that are aware of it? How would you advise them to like be that voice and advocate for their friends?
So in a group, if a friend or a few friends see how that person is talking about themselves,
Mhm.
okay, words matter.
Right?
If someone says, I'm not smart enough, or I just feel so dumb, or there's different keywords, obviously,
Right.
that are very noticeable, or
Concerning. Yeah.
even the body language.
Mhm.
So if you have friends that are aware again of that type of behavior or actions
Right.
or the words, that friend can be that voice for them. Be like, hey, I noticed this. You want to talk about it? I'm really concerned. You're my friend and like I'm here for you.
Mhm.
Or always just checking up on people. It's harder for the youth to do, but that's why we do these programs so that
Right.
they can become aware of the little things that they can do as words
Mm.
and actions to help a friend that for sure is
Right.
going through a really, really tough time and doesn't want to talk to anybody.
Right. And like you said, it's hard for them to even do it. But you'd kind of think just like as adults, like if I know you're not feeling good, I'm gonna do what I can to be like, hey Elizabeth, let's talk it out, or what can I do to help? But I know that the youth don't really take that initiative. Why do you think it's that they don't take that initiative? Do you think it's a lack of awareness, like, feeling embarrassed, like, it's not the cool thing to do? Like, because if a friend I've seen, like, a friend is saying, like, "Oh, I feel dumb." Well, the other friend's like, "Oh, yeah, you are a dumbass." Even though they're not really saying it in a sense to hurt their feelings, but just to fall in line with what they say. And kids sometimes say shit, like, super mindlessly, like, just saying it to say it.
I hear it all the time.
Mhm.
And it's so normal.
Yeah.
It's so normal. I mean, I've gone to the Starbucks or a coffee shop and I hear certain things and I'm like, "Oh my
Mhm.
god."
You get in coach mode, you're like, "How
And
can
but
I help?"
yes, like, I wanna go help, and I'm like, "Stay back." Right? But it's so normalized that even when someone says, "Oh, I'm so stupid." Yeah, you are, dude.
Mhm.
Shit, you are.
Yeah.
Instead of, "No, you're not."
Right.
Why don't we normalize that? Because it's so easy. It's so easy for students just to say that, and you said it,
Mhm.
sometimes they feel embarrassed to go the different route,
Right.
to say, "No, you're not. Stop saying stuff like that.
Mhm.
I know you're messing around, but don't say it."
Yeah.
But what do
And
they
those are good examples of what it is that someone can tell another friend instead of just falling in line with them. And as adults, like even in the education system, like if you were to give some advice to like teachers, support staff, just any sort of faculty member on a school campus, how would they be able to support if they were to hear something like that, or just promote more awareness of like help a friend out instead of falling in line with the shit that they say?
Yeah. I think for the teachers, just being that model
Mhm.
for them in the classrooms, when someone does say something, growing up, our teachers would call us out right then and there. "Hey, Elizabeth, you don't say
Mhm.
that. What are you thinking?" Right?
Yeah.
Right in the spot, and then you're like,
You're like,
"Dang,
"Dang, got called out
I
in the
just
middle of
got
the
called out in the
class."
and then what does that do?
It embarrasses you.
Embarrasses you,
Mhm.
you feel horrible, and
Yep.
then later on, for me, I give a lot of attitude. I was like, "Whatever."
Yep, you're talking with your friends, like, "I really wanted to say something, but I was
But
like, nah, I'm good. I wasn't gonna get embarrassed anymore in
exactly.
class."
So you kinda you lashed out a little bit more.
Yeah.
I think if the teachers would kind of step back and kind of analyze that and maybe talk to the student later on after,
Mhm.
maybe would probably be best,
Got it.
or model different actions if they hear something to model it, and then the students are going to see like, oh, okay, kids are smart, students are smart, they're going to catch on to it, they
Mhm.
know what the teachers are doing and why they're doing it,
Right.
right? And it for now it'll go from one ear to the other,
Mhm.
but they're listening. And the more that the teachers do it, the more the parents do it, the more other aware students do it, others are going to catch on to it.
Yeah.
And it's going to be contagious to do that. I came from an education background too. I didn't go into the teaching thing because
Yeah,
I
I figured I'm like, I know a lot of the work that I've seen you do, it's like catered to the high school. Even the event that I went to, they're like, "Does your daughter go here?" I'm like, no, like we're coming from Orange County, but I'm just here to support a fellow Chingona community member, and her name is Elizabeth." And I started to realize a lot of these that you do are like on school, or sometimes you'll tell me like, "Oh, I'm gonna be at the office." So I was like, I wonder if she's in the educational field, or if it's just your own coaching business aside from that, and like collaborating with these high schools.
so I when I went to school, I was doing the whole credentialing program,
Okay.
and I had, like, 2 more classes to do.
Dang, girl, you
I
were almost
know. I
there.
was almost there, and
Mhm.
then I ended up working for a nonprofit,
Okay.
and it was in Harupa District,
Mhm.
calling Riverside County, and I loved it. They first put me I was at a elementary
Okay.
school, so I ran a program there for, like, 5 mentor coaches, and I had about 100 students. It was like a pilot.
Nice.
Once I did that, they moved me to the middle schools,
Okay.
and that's where I fell in love.
Is that the area that you still love, or is it like the high school?
I love high school. I
Because they're in that
love high
transition area of leaving that young adolescent to becoming that young adult.
Oh, yeah, no,
Mhm.
high school for sure, and once I was there, I was like, "Oh, I'm not supposed to be in the classroom. There's something much, much bigger that I need to be doing," and I stayed doing that, and I loved it. Like, I wanted to do things different. I wanted to teach and help and coach
Yeah.
things that the schools aren't really teaching.
Right.
Yes, and our teachers are all teachers are amazing.
Yeah.
They spend so much time with our kids,
Mhm.
teaching them from like 8 in the morning to
Yeah.
2, 3 p.m. sometimes. They go above and beyond.
Right.
And I think that's a beautiful thing. And now, how can I help even more so? But with life skills, but with the things that they need to know to succeed in life. Because again, life's going to come at you.
Yeah.
How are you going to handle it? What you gonna do,
Yep.
how you can adjust, and how you going to adapt for it. So I learned all the techniques and teaching and everything, so I kind of bring it along when I do my programming and my planning. I feel like I'm doing lesson plan. When I
Mhm.
sit there, I'm like, oh my god.
But that's good because you learn like that format, those teaching skills, and it
Hmm.
seems like the coaching really comes to you naturally. Like you
I
just
love
have
it.
like that presence.
I love it.
Mhm.
I think you when you're doing something you love
Yeah.
and there's a greater mission, a meaningful mission for what you were supposed to do,
Right.
you're in your element.
100%.
You're in
Yeah.
the zone.
Mhm.
Like, I used to have that imposter syndrome. I have a lot of students that talk will ask me, "I have imposter syndrome." Like, how can I get away from that?
Mhm.
How do you feel when you're in the zone, when you're doing what you love?
Right.
Great. Does that come into your mind? No.
Mhm.
That's what you're supposed to be doing.
And telling themselves too that they're worthy, because a lot of that
Oh, yeah.
comes from self-doubt, like that head trash where you're like, "Why I haven't done this in a long time," or "I'm just tapping into this, but I feel passionate about it. I'm getting knowledgeable about it."
Yep.
And something you even brought up earlier, and this is more like us. I feel like the coaching field, it's very vast, and because it's unregulated, like you don't really need to have a certain degree for it. I know there
Right.
are some life coaches or coaches in general that have gone to school for most of it's like psychology,
Mhm.
but it's not needed. It's like as long as you know that you're showing up
Yes.
to these seminars, even personal development books, networking with other like-minded coaches or even other coaches that are in different aspects of coaching and certifications online, in person, like you're still doing what you got to do to educate. But I think the most like the key piece is your own life experience.
Boom.
Like, it's your own life experience that you've learned and you're like, "I've gone through this shit," like, even you as a child feeling these things and really relating to how these youth feel, like, your experience plus your education just, like, make you extra top notch.
It makes you qualified.
Yeah, absolutely.
It makes you so qualified.
Yep.
That's what I tell the kids, like, "Look, I went to high school.
Mhm.
Yes, I graduated from college.
Yep.
I'm doing some stuff with my degree,
Mhm.
not a lot.
Right?
And I thought I wasn't qualified enough to be here to sit and talk about these type of topics. My experiences, my messes, my lessons,
Mhm.
and the things that I've learned, that's what makes me qualified to be here to talk
Yeah.
to you."
All of those stepping stones in your life brought you to this point in your life where you're now stepping into your passion and your purpose and like you said feeling in your element. And I love that we both come from teaching because I came from a preschool teaching background. I did that for 7 years. And that's
Mm,
I feel like it's a little easier than like the middle school and the high school. So I'm like props to you for being able to deal with that age group because it is challenging. I'm like even within our own kids, so now taking on a whole bunch of other kids, but it seems like the children that come to you really want to change, and that's what makes it a little easier.
and even when they do come
Mhm.
and they know they want the change, but they're reluctant to be there,
Right.
and they're like, "Oh, I'm here because, well, I'm gonna get a pass in the class."
Mhm.
"Alright, cool, sweet, but you're here, right?"
Mhm.
"Yeah." "Well, you're meant to be here."
Yeah.
And they're like, right? And it's like it's the coolest thing to be able to see like this lady, like,
Yeah.
yeah, this lady's here. I'm gonna change your life. You have no
Mhm.
idea.
Yep.
But and you experienced it. You were at the mentorship.
Yep.
And that's one of the things that I want to do a lot more. I want to support the parents.
Right. And a lot of parents do need it. I absolutely love the event. Everything was like well put together. I'm like, it literally ended up getting so full. Like all the tables were full. So that was really nice to see. I think for me, it showed me like, hey, what you're doing is right because a lot of those practices, there was a lot of new things that I learned from you. But a lot of it, I'm like, I'm grateful that I do this already with my daughter. But I think a lot of it, it's
Exactly.
because of our position in life with coaching. Whereas to us, it seems normal. But when I share like these activities that I do with my daughter, or even learning from you and learning that other mothers at that table that I was at were kind of like, oh, this is new. Like, I didn't even know you can do this activity. Hearing those things was like, damn, like this is amazing because we overlook that and think, oh, like it's a norm, but it really isn't. It's like these parents need to get educated on the personal development to learn more about themselves and help their children along the line too.
Oh, 100%. So that day, there was a mom, a younger mom that came
Hmm.
in. One of the I told you one of the things that I love is seeing the transformation.
Yeah.
When people come in and you're like, "Oh, they're so close to in.
Hmm.
Just wait until you're done."
Right.
And this particular mom and daughter came in, and I could just tell. I could just feel it. I'm like, "Okay, there'll be a breakthrough
Yeah,
throughout the whole thing."
for sure.
And girl, sure enough, after we did a meditation and the letter writing for each other,
Hmm.
the mom came up to me at the end and she was sobbing.
Oh my goodness.
I was like, I can't, I'm going to cry.
Oh,
I,
that's nice.
she was crying. She said, I didn't know I needed this
Yeah.
for myself and learning.
Right.
And I got to learn so many things and needs for my daughter,
Right.
and I know that I'm not alone.
Hmm.
And you're not alone.
Yep.
You're not. And I want to be able to provide that
Hmm.
for moms, the fathers, and like this cohesiveness together. Like you can
Absolutely.
build that relationship up again with your kids. I
Hmm.
did it with my daughters because we used to bump heads a lot. I mean, both of us were like, and now it's such a beautiful thing.
That's awesome. You're like, now there's this balance.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. I had her for my birthday, my oldest,
Hmm.
both of them. I told her, "For my birthday, I don't want nothing.
Hmm.
I don't want no gifts. I said, "I just want you to write me a letter." And she's like, "Well," I was like, "Yeah, you left early during the
Mhm.
mentorship because
Oh,
she
yeah,
had
I
to
did.
go.
Mhm.
She had to leave." So I said, "Can you write me a letter?" She goes, "What am I going to say?" I don't know. Something.
You're like, "Figure it out, just come from the heart."
Of the heart.
Yep.
So sure enough, she wrote me a letter. She's never wrote me a a whole page.
Mhm.
And I was sitting there crying, like literally all ugly cry.
Hey, nothing wrong with that.
Ugly cry. But that's a beautiful thing.
Right.
You can mend your relationships with your kids
Absolutely.
at this stage in their life, in their
Right.
faces. It's a beautiful thing. And if I can provide that
Mhm.
for the parents and for the kids so they can have a healthier and loving relationship with their parents,
Right.
that's gold right there.
Absolutely. I love that. And now we're coming towards the end of our episode, and you've talked about your summits and different seminars and workshops. So, are there any final tips that you want to offer the audience and let them know about any upcoming events that you might have? I'll for sure link all of your information down below, like email, Instagram handle, so they'll be able to reach out to you personally. So, any final words, lovely?
So, first and foremost, thank you for having me here.
Absolutely.
Honestly, it's
You're
been an honor.
welcome.
Thank you for everything that you're doing and sharing with your community because you are making a difference and an impact. So,
Thank
thank you for
you.
that.
So are
Thank
you.
you.
Right
Thank
back
you.
at you, lovely.
Gracias.
Mhm.
So, yes, I am going to be hosting another mentorship program here pretty soon. I will give you guys the details. But for my parents, mothers, fathers, single parents, not single parents, grandparents, if you need more support, more resources, please, please let me know. I'm starting programming and mentorships to help and guide you. You don't have to do this alone. I got you. So there is information there. I'm working on a link so that you'll be able to kind of contact me a little bit more information on that. But for now, that's the DMs for the social media. And for the youth, you're not alone. I was that kid. I was you, still am. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing. If you need support, please send me a message. Would love to talk to you and work with you. I will be doing more programmings district wide so that there's more people coming into the community, more students coming into the community. What I'm asking for from the parents individually and then asking for the youth is send me a DM and I want you to tell me what are the particular topics and things that you want me to help and share and do workshops on because this is for you. I do this for you so that I can help you create and design these programs are going to help you not just in your academics, but in life. Okay. So I appreciate you and thank you for doing that. Gracias.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. Everyone, thank you for tuning in. I hope that you enjoyed this episode. And if you want to see the lovely Coach Elizabet back on here, make sure to show some love, drop some comments. She'll be looking at the video and the comments. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, make sure to hit that like button and the subscribe for future videos. And make sure to look at the description box below because all of her information will be linked there. So, everything she discussed, if you have any further questions, you can go ahead and hit her up in her DMs, check out her email, and just all the information that will be below. And I will see you in the next video.